Hey guys, welcome back to Together Dana. My name is Abby, and today we're going to be doing our weekly chakra healing tarot video. And we're starting off this video with with the new moon in Aquarius today, which has been very enlightening, to say the least. There's kind of a lot of stuff going on if you look at the chart for today specifically, especially because the sun is in a strong conjunction with the moon, so there's like a lot of stuff being revealed of sorts, whether it's to yourself by the art of detachment, or with you just socially with others. You can see people's kind of true intentions very clearly today. It's one of those days. But if you look at the chart with Venus being in Capricorn, there is kind of like a yearning to balance both worlds. And by both worlds, I mean the spiritual world and the physical world. There's a yearning there because Venus in Capricorn wants to tangibly see what we know from our like spiritual world that we have. We want to tangibly hold space kind of for ourselves. There is kind of a need to be balanced in many ways. I mean, Aquarius is the water bearer, so we have that. But there's kind of like a need to kind of have things in a balance today, for the next couple of days. And kind of this week, you're going to kind of see that. I mean, I feel like once the moon goes into Pisces this week, we'll be a little bit more kind of relaxed and kind of more in our watery kind of flowing element type of thing. But once it goes into Aries, it's really going to be kind of like a drive to trying to sort out the gunk. Like, why isn't it balanced? Why are we like so focused on one area, like whether it be the physical or the material? Like, what is it, I mean, not the material or the spiritual, like what is it that's kind of blocking us from really meeting ourselves in the middle, so we can just like be better, like some way, like find the midway point between those two things. There's kind of like a yearning to just be balanced. Like what, like Aquarius energy is really like saying, hey, disconnect so you can see where, like pinpoint the location into where is not balanced. Like you need to like really take this time. So we're starting off this week being very reflective, as Aquarius always is. And let's see what the energy of the week is going to be like. So what is blocking our root chakra this week? What is blocking our root chakra this week? And Venus energy, by the way, loves earth energy. So in Capricorn, it's not really like bad or anything like that. It just needs to really solidify itself into the physical realm. Like, I need to physically see my life, my roots, the connection I have play out into something. It just has to go deeper. You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to see it, touch it, play with it, like all of the things. What is blocking the root chakra this week? First card out, we have the Three of Wands. So this is interesting because remember what I just said about the whole needing to detach in order to view, which is exactly what he's doing. He's like away from the choices and kind of trying to pinpoint which ship he's gonna get on, and he doesn't really know just yet. So there's kind of like some people might be struggling dealing with the Aquarian energy of detachment, which is something that, I mean, you know, if you have Aquarius placements, you might naturally do this. You might not actually know that you do it, or when it shows up. It's a very stern kind of energy in a way, just because you have like Uranus and Saturn lingering with the energy. But it's interesting. Some people are really gonna, you see, some people are really gonna be struggling with that energy this week, because the Ten of Pentacles, like Three of Wands with the Ten of Pentacles, is literally what I just said about how we need to balance both out and really look at and pinpoint why we're not physically seeing it. Like our Venus is like making us question. Look at the bottom of the deck right now. Our Venus is really making us question, like, hey, why aren't we in the place that we need to be? Why is it a struggle? Why are we constantly needing to, it's just like, why have I been stuck in a muddy place? What have I been stuck to that what seeds did I plant that have not led to a strong, solid foundation? It's like there's a lack of reflection here. There's just more of a frustration. Like, instead of you actually taking the time to look, you know, using the Aquarian energy correctly, there is just either a detachment or just focusing too much on the seeds that have already been planted, so much so that you cannot actually use it properly, use this gift properly in order for you to actually heal your root chakra and fix these issues that are mental, because this is all mental energy. The Ten of Swords is just like you're mentally defeating yourself because you have not achieved this type of level of success that you wanted to have. How can we best heal our root chakra this week? How can we best heal our root chakra this week? Hi, Uranus. So we have the Tower, and then we have the Four of Wands. This is a card of Uranus, so this is kind of hilarious that this, as you know, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. So there is kind of allowing, like, Uranus is really just saying you need to really allow shifts to come in. Like, if you're, because Aquarius is a fixed sign, right? But with Uranus as his ruling planet, it's really hard for it to stay fixed for a long time. Just like Scorpio and like Pluto, it kind of demands you to change and shift perspective, trauma, whatever. Like, it gives you the energy to kind of heal that space within its own energy. So when it comes to Uranus coming in and saying, hey, you know, I know that you want to, this is the end goal, but you're gonna have to allow yourself to go with these shifts. You're gonna have to allow yourself to connect to your crown space, by the way, because that's also Uranus and Aquarius energy. They rule the crown, and as we're like Venus is in Capricorn ruling the root chakra, they're literally just an asking of us to kind of balance both out, see why we're not doing well or are in the place that we need to be in the physical realm. Like, why have we not done it? Where's the disconnect? How do I disconnect in order for me to see this properly, to be objective, have a different perspective, and see things for what it actually is? And then bottom of the deck again, World and the Ten of Swords. There is Saturn, obviously. See how this is a relationship between Saturn and Uranus right now. It's like crown and earth, like really being like, hey, nah, this is not what we're doing. What you're going to do is allow yourself to be able to shift. And the way we do that this week is by connecting to our crown space, and that has to do with going into meditation. Doing higher self meditations is a really good thing to do today if you're planning on doing some ritual work. So higher self meditations, any form of meditation is good for today. I do have the records open, by the way, because I sometimes forget to mention it. I do have the Akashic records open, so messages are definitely flowing really, really fast for me. But it's really about connecting. You have to connect to your crown. You can connect to your ancestors if you want to. You can, any type of meditation, any type of air magic, any type of writing that you're doing, anything like that is really, really good for today. And especially, definitely, I would say connect to your friends, make sure they're doing good, but at the same time, make sure that you have taken the time to detach in order for you to reflect on what needs to be reflected. What is blocking our sacral chakra this week? What is blocking our sacral chakra this week? And so it begins. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. The first card that jumped out was the Five of Pentacles, and I can see why this is a thing. There's a lot of people like going into next week, which is gonna be like Valentine's Day, and everybody's gonna be feeling like in their feelings about it. Some people are definitely struggling with the loneliness and not feeling that like they have that soulmate level connection, or like they have the soulmate level connection but they're not connected to their soulmate, and there's a struggle there. There's like blockages. This could be very well like trauma. It could be definitely past life trauma, and the reason why it's a struggle, it could be like a past life trauma thing. Also, it could be that you're not supposed to end up with, you see how he's going to a house, like he knows like there's like some sort of foundational earth groundedness in there, but at the same time it could be that you're not meant to end up with this soulmate type connection situation vacation, and that is actually just meant to be a more of a lesson for you. And I've spoken about this quite a bit of times. When it comes to soulmates, soulmates, yes, they can come and stay longer term, but sometimes it's a shorter term type of thing. Like they don't always have to stay. It could be that they're not meant to be the love of your life in this lifetime. You also have multiple soulmates, so there's that. Like this, like it's like, you know, you just kind of have to play it by ear when it comes to soulmates. Sometimes you just be like, I'm open to the lesson. I'm open to see what the fuck you're about to bring to me, because you never know. You never know until you actually know. And even when you actually know, it has to be not this. It can't look like this. It should be flowing a lot easier and a lot smoother. So there is kind of like a struggle there. The blockage is definitely being connected or not being connected, or wanting to be connected but not finding it. And for those who are not connected to their soulmates but are kind of wanting to, but are struggling to find the connection or be in that type of connection, you need to do some self-love work, and you need to do some work on yourself before, because you have to be on a certain level for them to come in, period, point blank, period. You cannot be on the same vibration for your whole life and expect them to just come in and be like, hey, you need to level up yourself, and you need to be kind of open to the traumatic experiences that they will be bringing up in your life in order for you to change as well, because that's also what soulmates do. So there is kind of a needing to balance out, because that's the bottom of the deck so far, 6 of Swords and Justice, which is the Libra card. So there is something karmic here that you might not know that's happening or being played out, but in order for you to achieve what you want to achieve, you need to do a lot of self-love and self-healing work. So let's see, how can we best heal our sacral space this week? How can we best heal our sacral space this week? How can we best heal our sacral space this week? Okay. We have the 7 of Swords and the 4 of Cups, and this is really like, yo, this type of combination in the healing, ooh, this is like, okay, so we get it, you're not necessarily happy, like this is the universe speaking, we get that you're not necessarily happy with the way that this has been manifesting into your life, and we understand that you have a lot of ideas and you have a lot of views of the way that this should come in, or if it is like if it is already in your life, the way it should be playing out. We get that you feel these things, but at the same time you need to understand and really look at what this connection is. And again, that has to do with, is this a lesson, is it not? And the possibilities are there for it to be like something really deep, and it's never like that soulmates connections are never deep. They're very much deep. It's just that it's not always meant. It's sometimes a lot of soulmate situations look like this, not like in the end of it, like you can stay bitter about it, yes, but a lot of the times they look like this, and the reason why they look like this is because they stir up a lot of different stuff. They're literally like soulmates. People want to be like, this is the soulmate card, but quite frankly, this be the soulmate card. Honestly, this really does be the soulmate card, and you'd be like, where you came from, what do you want from my life, why are we so connected, why is this such a like, whoa, what type of thing? And that's because they don't always come like they look like this. The illusion is this. A lot of the times the illusion is this, but the actual outcome of it is really this, and it just makes you feel like this. And it's such, it needs to be addressed in a way where you're not like being like childish. I'm not saying that I'm calling you guys a child, but you see how there's like a bottom of the deck, 8 of Swords, 6 of Wands. It's like you want to be like on a high horse and get your happily ever, you want your cake and you want to eat it too, that's great, but there's the reason why you're restricted to it. And the reason why I can say that there's like a childishness to this is because of the whole you want your cake and you want to eat it too. Like, yes, we're human, we want things, we want people, we want things to work out, we want everything to be right all the time. We get it, we understand, but at the same time, is it realistic though? Who goes to the movies to see a movie that literally everything just goes right the whole movie? Who reads a book to literally read the whole book and have no climax, no connection? Like, who does that? We literally write about these things, and we write about these issues, we sing songs, we're creative, and we do all those things, but at the end of the day, we struggle to accept that those conflicts and climaxes appear in our own lives, and then we struggle with the way they appear and overcoming those conflicts. It's like, guy, what are we talking about here? What is blocking our solar plexus this week? It just doesn't make any sense. What is blocking our solar plexus this week? Like, it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows, and there's a reason why it's not going to be sunshine and rainbows. Okay, this was way too big of a stack. Nah. I mean, we could talk about it, but this is a whole story. Okay, fine. So, what is blocking our solar plexus this week? It's funny that this came out again. So we have the High Priestess, the Eight of Swords, the Six of Wands, with Judgment, the Hangman, with the Knight of Swords, the Three of Swords, and Strength, which happens to rule this chakra. And this is a whole story, and this has to do with kind of really, a lot of people are really pissed about the stagnation that's happening. A lot of people are pissed about it, and a lot of people are pissed because there's kind of been a promise of movement happening, and a promise by people who divine, people who are like, if you're on YouTube and you watch a lot of readings and they're like, oh my god, the soulmates, and oh my god, like, this is coming in, and oh my god, you have this connection with somebody, it's this thing, and they'll like explain it and all of these things. I mean, we do this weekly up in here as well, but there's been a promise here, something that like for some reason, maybe you've watched many readers, and they've all mentally have hyped you up with this situation, which is supposed to be like amazing for you and all of these things, that has not come into play in the way that you have kind of wanted it to develop, or like we're hyped, like, oh my god, finally this might happen, this might work out, all of these things, like, how is this energy going to develop, blah, 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 blah. And it's kind of been a judging of the stagnation of the way this energy has manifested, and why things are still kind of stuck, and why things haven't been moving, because you were promised, and you were like, they said that the energy was there for it, so why hasn't it happened? Why am I not on my high horse? Why can't I see? Why can I get what I want? Why can't all of these things? So there's kind of like a blockage in the solar plexus because your willpower is blocked, because some of you forgot that you have your own willpower in order to do things that will address this type of situation. Like, you've forgotten your strength. Yes, you've forgotten the part that you play in this role in your life, in your energy, and how you affect others, and how you communicate to others, and how you communicate to create change, in order to heal, in order to release. Like, you guys have forgotten this, because for some reason some of you are very hung up on some spiritual leaders, spiritual healers, that kind of have told you that some stuff is coming, which, by the way, nobody said it's not coming. It's just that you need to remember the part you play and the role you play in this role. We, as spiritual leaders and diviners and brujas and all these things, we can read the energy, but it's up to you to use the energy to shift your life. It's up to you. If you do not, if you're just sitting there watching YouTube videos like, hey, and we read the energy, and the energy this week is really good, because like, if the sky is just like, hey, it's a really good week for love, or it's a really good week for job opportunities, but you never act upon it, you never go outside, you never like go apply for jobs, or do anything, or talk to your friends and see if there's a connection out there that like somebody can hook you up with or something. If you never take any initiative, how the are you going to gain anything from the energy? Even though the energy is there, you could literally really miss the energy just because you are not doing anything. And it's just like, you just want stuff to be handed to you, and that's not how it works though. Like, yes, the universe will move and make stuff happen, but those things that will happen will be because other people are moving. You see how that works now? It's like, in order for you to take a car, like, let's say you want to order Uber or something like that, in order for you to for the car to come to you, you need to order it. You need to book the trip. You need to do something in order to achieve this outcome. The energy is there for you to get, the app is there for you to be used. Do you get what I'm trying to say? You can use the app anytime you want to, but if you do not take it upon yourself to properly, you know, use it, book the ride, get on the ride and see where it takes you, or like, or know where it takes you, then you're never gonna get anywhere. So, how do we heal our solar plexus this week? How do we heal our solar plexus this week? How do we heal our solar plexus this week? Okay. We have the King of Cups, the Four of Pentacles, and the Five of Swords. And this really has to do with coming back to yourself, know your power, follow your intuition, for God's sakes. Especially when it comes to the King of Cups, because ultimately, yes, you can look at all of these people who tell you and read these energies for other things, and they could be great at it, and that's great, but ultimately you have to be the master of your own vibe. And the reason why the solar plexus, again, and I've talked about this so much, the solar plexus is a very important chakra because it is your willpower. And this week is really asking you to move from a sense of willpower, from your intuition. Like, follow your intuition, go with it, see where it tells you, see why you're kind of being led into a certain direction. Like, hold that above everybody else's intuition. And I say this because you need to trust yourself before anybody else. Nobody else is going to be a greater diviner than you are. Yes, some people will know how to read energy really well, and that's great, and that's Gucci, and congrats. But ultimately, you need to know when something is meant for you. So when you're watching some of these readings, you need to be like, oh, okay, that message was for me. Okay, so this is how I'm going to apply this message into my life. Like, it can't be there has to be a disconnected kind of energy about it. Like, okay, I'm reflecting on the stuff that you said, but I'm actively going to apply it in my life like this. This is how I'm going to take these swords and I'm going to apply it in this way. I'm going to move from this energy with these actions. Like, there has to be a give and take kind of thing. And you're being given a reading, then you can take from that and apply it into your life. There you go. So for the heart chakra, who's blocking our heart space this week? That jumped out way too fast. Here we go. Lord Jesus. Okay, so we have the Ace of Swords, the Seven of Wands, the Hierophant, and the Seven of Pentacles. So for some of you, my lovelies, some of you really need to do some healing work. This definitely has to do with the records. Some people definitely need to do some healing in the records in regards to somebody else, because there has been a situation here that has been very, and I think I talked about it this week. It's been grounded, but the seed has been planted in like lifetimes ago. Like, there's something very deep that has gotten planted. And you see how there's like 2 sevens here? Okay, yeah. There's a seed that's been planted a long time ago. Something that was actually in the moment very good, very that would, you know, like, it just felt really good. It felt like really divine, like divine connection, which is great, and it could very much well be one currently. But the way it's playing out in this lifetime is not the same way it played out the last time, which is why it's in the blockage. So, and this could very much well have to do with the sacral connection that we were talking about. But if this has to do with a past life situation, you actively have to integrate the messages that you get from that past life. You need to be able to see why, because this was definitely like, it was a marriage of 2 souls. I can see that with the Hierophant, and this is something that it really, oh my god, it depends on the person who's watching this video as far as how this applies to you. Bottom of the deck, Sun of the Page of Wands. There's definitely, it's just something that's, it's like, it's almost like when you watch a movie and it's just so good, but it's not one of those movies that has a sequel, right? But then they decide to make a sequel anyway, but the sequel is obviously not as good as the first movie. It's kind of like that. That's literally the energy of this. There's something very, like, in this lifetime it's just not working, but you know it's really, it's like a really great connection, but it's just not working. And there's something like stuck there. There's something that's just like, it's just something that's been planted, but I don't know if it's gonna grow the same way in this lifetime. And it's just been kind of like a struggle to make it work. And this is kind of when it turns into, okay, so if it's not, like, if I'm not meant to really have this in that way, what am I doing? So how can we best heal our heart space this week? How can we best heal our heart chakra this week? Okay. Okay, so we have the Nine of Cups, the Ace of Cups, and the Queen of Cups into the healing. And this is so much Yamaya and energy is crazy. But this really talks about self-love. One. Best way to heal that this week is to make yourself. You see how many cups he has back there? Yeah, you need to focus on each one of those cups one by one until you get up to this level. Simple. A lot of the time when we call in a soulmate that kind of creates this amount of like conflict, yes, they come in as lessons, but at the same time they make you value your self-worth a lot, and it has to really do with yourself. Like, why did you call in this type of connection? What were you supposed to learn from it? Like, I'm asking you questions that you're supposed to be answering, by the way. What were you supposed to learn from it? How do you feel about yourself from this connection? How does this person make you feel about you? How are you actively, how did you grow from the time that before you met this person to now? How do you feel about yourself sexually, emotionally, intuitively? How are you feeling on a real, just letting it all out type of thing? Like, how are you feeling? You need to prioritize you this week, not other people, because there's a reason why you're getting so triggered by this connection, and it's because it's karmic. But you need to kind of just focus on you. Like, what's your healing looking like? Like, I get it, like, this person has an impact in your life, a huge one, but ultimately you need to be good before you can even, you know, roll with anything. And it's just not the time. It just doesn't feel like the time right now. What is blocking our third eye? Our throat chakra this week. What is blocking our throat chakra this week? What is blocking the throat chakra this week? Okay, so we have the Four of Swords and the World card. There's a lack of contemplation, which is kind of not why some of you guys have not closed this chapter that we're looking at here. This is why it hasn't been closed, and it's because some of y'all don't want to do the work to closing it. Like, there's things that need to be said, but it's like when you say it, you know it's over, and you don't want to do that, and so you're like kind of like avoiding saying what you know you need to say in order to close that chapter and move on, but it's just not happening. So it's kind of like creating this conflict. So why? Okay, so how can we best heal our throat chakra this week? I hate you guys. Oh my god, I love you guys, but I hate you guys. We got the Six of Swords, the Queen of Swords, and the Empress. So like what I said about the heart chakra, there's a lot of self-care, self-love that needs to be had this week, especially when it comes to the root chakra. This goes back to our grounding. You see these two with the Queen of Swords and the Empress is just like a connection from your crown to the earth. This is a relationship there that needs to be like, you need to be grounded. You also need to be like spiritually connected. Like, you need to be in connection to yourself in both sides. Like, it can't just be one. Universe is saying to say what you need to say and then move on. There is just process it, do the mental work, accept what needs to be accepted, and then, you know what, just love yourself for it. You freaking just did the work. Like, why are we still being upset? Like, this is not the time. There's a lot of self-love and self-care work that needs to happen this week. I can definitely see that. What is blocking our third eye chakra this week? What is blocking our third eye? What is blocking our third eye? Okay. Bottom of the deck, Temperance and the Devil. So we have the Ace of Pentacles and the Fool card for blocking our third eye. And this is an opportunity of in the physical. This is an opportunity in the physical realm. So this shift that you for some reason are craving, that kept coming up, especially in the solar plexus, this shift and this thing that's been promised to you that it's coming, like it's there, but it's being blocked because a lot of you just don't want to do the work. I'm sorry. A lot of you guys don't want to accept what you guys need to accept. A lot of you guys energetically are blocking yourselves. That's just a fact. Like, the energy is there for shifts to happen and things to come in and for you to see change in the physical realm, but you're not taking these opportunities, and so you're just stagnant. You're not moving. How is the best way to heal our third eye this week? Best way to heal our third eye this week. Okay. So we have the Page of Cups with the the 6 of Pentacles. And you really need to give your intuition the time of day. There needs to be a balance here. Again, Pentacles and the water. It's just like, hey, you need to be spiritually like nimble and sweet as this Page of Cups, and also giving to your earth, like connecting to both. There has to be a balance between both worlds, not just one. The best way to heal the third eye this week is really to seek balance within your lower chakras and your upper chakras, because there is an imbalance, and so it just hasn't been working, and because there has been an imbalance, you haven't been able to receive the messages or connect to your intuition in the same way that you could have been connecting to for like a hot minute. It's just like the way your intuition has been working, it's just been like, no, but I know this is meant for me. I know, why can't I see it? But what is it? Like, it's just been like a friction. Like, you know this one thing, but you don't want to see the other things that you actually know that you don't want to accept. And that just creates an imbalance of your third eye, so you can't actually see properly. Like, you see selectively. And it's required for you to balance that out so you can actually see what's coming. Like, in order for you to start seeing the actual things that are coming forth as we move, literally coming, you need to let it flow as you may. Like, you might not always like the messages that you receive, but it ain't gonna always be sunshine and rainbows. That's just the way it is. Okay, for our crown chakra, what is blocking our crown chakra this week? Okay, our crown chakra this week. Okay, that's not really a surprise. We got the Page of Swords, the 10 of Cups, and the Knight of Pentacles. That's not really a surprise. They're definitely, yo, this love, like, I get it. Like, it has the potential. It has the potential. This connection has the potential. This, like, see, because there's 2 seeds here. There's a knowing here, and then there's the planting of the seed in this kind of, with this person, knowing like, there's like an end game like type of mentality with, like, that's blocking the crown. And you can't have end game mentality with the crown space. The crown space has to remain fluid. It needs to be always just running its course. It's like a river. It needs to just keep flowing eternally, because when you kind of be like, no, but this is endgame, that's it, that's all that I need, this is it, then your life does not move. It just does not move the same way, and it's a lot slower for you to see changes and shifts to the energy. And I get it. There's this soulmate connection is really crazy. Okay, how can we best heal our crown chakra this week? How can we best heal our, yeah, driving me crazy. So you guys got the Devil, Temperance, the Magician, and the King of Wands. And this is really interesting because remember how I started this reading and I said that Venus was in Capricorn. There is a connection to the earth that you need to address. We get that. That's great. But the thing is that Capricorn wants to have this and actually be realistic about it. We don't like to create false goals for ourselves. Like, I remember, I'll tell you guys this story because why not? There was this one girl one of my soulmates that when I fell for her, I literally stated the words, I'm going to marry this girl. Because it was one of those, like, oh my god kind of moments where you're like, where have you been all my life type of things. But you see, it's kind of tricky to say those things, especially at the time that I said it. I literally have only known her for like a month, but my Venus in Aquarius doesn't know how to act, so I'd be like going from 0 to 1,000 really fast. And I'm aware of that. But you see, I'm aware that I do that. I'm aware that I go from like, you know, oh, you're cute, to like, let me love you meme. Like, I am aware of my Venus energy. I'm aware of how it affects me. Today is a very, very detached day for me, as, you know, everything is sitting on my 7th house. But at the time, it's like when we fall for someone, we're like on this like, nope, that's it. This is what it is. This is what's happening. Nope, this person's literally like so I get it. I personally can relate to doing this. However, Capricorns still don't like to, we don't like to build faulty foundations. So we don't set expectations. I mean, I should have never said, oh, I'm going to marry this girl, because that wasn't realistic. I am eventually going to, like, I already know I'm going to eventually do all that and do all that. It's mostly about the general goal. Like, where do I see myself in 5 years? Who do I see myself? Do I see myself being in a relationship? Do I see myself like living somewhere? Like, what does my happily ever after look like to me 5 years from now? What does that look like? And it's not necessary to fixate and just put that person in that goal. It's just mainly having that goal, and then going through your life and kind of doing what you can to make those goals become a reality. That's how Capricorns move. So even though, yes, I can feel you guys with the situation, at the same time, my Capricorn stellium was just like, nah, but like, I still have stuff that I want to do. Like, there's a part of me that might not even live in the United States like in 10 years. Like, so that's just unrealistic for me to feel. And there's just like, there's levels to, I want to say there's levels to the shift, and there's levels to your growth. There's levels to seeing the issues. There's levels to the outcome. There's levels to, there's just levels to this. And when you stay open instead of fixating and just waiting for things to develop the way they're meant to, like being like, okay, using this energy instead of holding on to the person, but holding on to the thing being, oh, I want to have this type of emotional satisfaction in my life. This is the level of satisfaction that I want to have, but not putting a specific person connected to that. Then it changes the narrative, because it keeps it open to whatever is meant for you to come in, versus I'm holding on to this one thing and I don't want to let it go type of situation. With the Magician and the King of Wands, it's really calling you out and saying, hey, you're the master of your own path. Ultimately, you're the master of your own path. So you can definitely manifest this. This is a very Jupiter and Sag kind of energy right here. I'm going to say that, especially because the Sagittarius card came out. But there is definitely a, like, the way to heal your crown this week is to come back in many ways to your power. We already talked about self-care, but coming back to your power and coming back to leaving things open, reminding yourself that things need to flow. The way you connect to your crown this week and the way you heal your crown this week is about letting things flow, but also understanding your own power. Because once you, again, if you're doing a lot of crown work, and if you choose to do some today because it is the new moon in Aquarius and that's what they rule, meditations are going to be really strong. Higher self meditations I highly recommend for today, because they'll be very powerful. But your higher self is going to literally make you do this. It's going to be like a, oh, wait, I must now come into terms with the higher version of myself, the one that is just like looking at me like, what are you doing? What are you doing right now? The one that really can see the path from a mile away and really say, hey, you know, you need to focus back on this, because this is ultimately who you are. And different connections where people don't dictate, they can dictate who you are, but ultimately they don't dictate. It's not endgame. It's not going to stop being endgame for a while. And even when you're in one of these type of situations, the way society has these type of situations today, it's also not endgame. So it's levels. You need to come into terms with yourself, with your energy. Bottom of the deck, 7 of Cups and the 2 of Pentacles. It's really like you need to let this flow. You need to connect up high, but you also need to connect down low. There is a balance that's being asked. There's a balance that's being asked of both Earth, Mercury, like Mercury's in Aquarius too. So it's just like a, hey, you need to let this flow as it will. It cannot be something that you make into a problem, a blockage. Like, it can't look like this. Like, you shouldn't be doing this. You should not be doing this to yourself. You should not be giving away so much of yourself, your power, away to different situations, different people in different ways. Like, no, the whole point is for you to come back and reflect. That's the whole point. So let us pick a card from the Sacred Symbols Oracle deck. I love this deck. I use it all the time. Thank you, Marcella, for sending it to me. It's one of my favorite decks already. Like Oracle decks, I just love it so much. Okay, so we're gonna pick a card for this week, unless multiple come out. Y'all know at this point, like, yeah, I get checked over from everywhere. So, message for this week. Wow. That's interesting. Bottom of the deck, Field and Stormy. Interesting. Purple. The color of the crown. We're not going to talk about it. Okay, so we have Home, Divine Feminine, and Safe Travel. This is interesting because, again, some people will be detaching. There is a questioning of home, and this goes back down to this energy and this energy, and this was in the crown and this was in the root chakra. So this is how you know I'm not making this stuff up. There is a connection between the root and the crown this week. It's just something that you need to focus on. It needs to be looked at, a balance of both, because it's reflecting on what you're building your foundation on, and your foundation ultimately is your home. So there is a need to connect. Secondly, Divine Feminine, which goes back to this, which is practicing self-care, and connecting to your water, your divine water, your intuition, your power, like mother, sister, feminine energy. This week is a big one because some of you guys are just not in that place. And then Safe Travel. And this is interesting because when I saw this, the first thing I thought of was Alegua. Because you know where he be at, the crossroads, which is hilarious because this is also the crown, and Mercury is representative of Alegua in tarot. Safe travels can mean different things, because safe travels, you could literally be taking a trip, or your life is the journey and you are on, obviously, this grander trip. And this really has to do with being it. Wow, I just noticed this. The card is actually, it's a 3. You can see it. It's a 3. Who makes this up? Who makes this up? Because that's Alegua's number. So, some of you guys need to do some work with Alegua this week. Highly recommend doing some work with Alegua this week. I feel like there's some people that are going to need help coming out, like making a decision coming out of the crossroads. With we started off with a 3, didn't we not, in the root chakra? Some people need some help with this week. Some people need some direction. Some people need to be divinely shifted where they need to go. So if you need to do some work this week to connect spiritually, and ask for that guidance, I highly recommend it, because there's some people that really just need the divine to come in order to shift them back into themselves. So I would definitely recommend doing that work for this week. So I hope you guys enjoyed this reading. I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe.